Hello everyone, in this video we will be comparing Minecraft Bedrock's new feature of being able to toggle your chunks and your FPS. So let's get started. If you don't know what I mean, Minecraft Bedrock added this new feature on their video in which you can toggle how many chunks and FPS you have. The more chunks you have, the more you will be able to see, and the more FPS you have, the more fluid your game will be. So let's get started and set the chunks to 5 and the FPS to 10. With 10 FPS, your game will be very laggy, as you can see. You can break blocks, but it will be very delayed. I wouldn't recommend these settings too much. PvP and other minigames could become hard with these settings, as you will have a disadvantage. So let's increase it by 4 times, up to 40 FPS. You can already notice the difference, and I would say that you can see most of the movements you make, if not all, and this would certainly not give you a disadvantage in PvP or other minigames. So I would recommend these settings to people like with not the best setups, 30 FPS, 40 FPS, 50 FPS, as it's still really good. Now, according to Google, the maximum the human eye can see is 60 FPS, but let's go ahead and set it up to 80 FPS, so double what we were doing. Now, I would say 80 FPS is really good. In my opinion, you can see every single little movement, and yeah, it's great. You won't get as much lag as like some higher FPS, but you will still get like pretty much everything that the higher FPS offers. You can do like pretty high speed movements like the ones I'm doing right now. It's pretty great, and personally this is the one that I use. Anyways, let's increase the FPS again. Oops. Now that we're back again, let's increase the FPS again by double, up to 160 FPS. Now, on my opinion, there's not much difference from 80 FPS to 160 FPS. The game does become a bit more smooth. You can pretty much break blocks at very high speeds without any delay. And same thing for building. I'd say you can place any block at very high speeds without any delay at all. It also makes it very easy to reach. Sadly, I still can't do it, but let's move on. Now let's set it up to the maximum that I have, which is unlimited. This doesn't mean that I will have infinite FPS. It will only mean that it will do the maximum my iPad can. I honestly don't see much difference from 260 FPS to unlimited, but yeah, the game is super fluid and you can see every single little movement. It's one thing to note though, is that every time I turn the FPS on, the game did get a little bit laggier. Like for example right now, even with 7 chunks I think I had, the game is loading pretty slowly, so yeah, you sacrifice FPS for other. But anyways, let's move on to chunks. So let's set it up to the minimum chunks that I have, which is 5, and see how it looks. So right now we're in a village, and as you can see with 5 chunks it's good. You can see pretty much all of the village. Of course there are some parts that you still can't see, but I would still recommend 5 chunks to anyone with not the best setup, but yeah, it's good. Now let's turn the chunks up to 7 chunks. Also, at the end of the video, I will be showing the maximum chunks that I have and also a maximum FPS while screen recording. So if you want to see me blow up my iPad, be ready. So as you can see with 7 chunks, you can see most of the village, which is very good. Anyways, let's turn it up to 11 chunks, which I think it's what Minecraft actually recommends to me, so I don't have that much lag. Now 12 chunks is really useful, as you can see like a variety of stuff. For example, over there we could see the cave. It is gonna be a bit harder to load though, so that's why I usually have a bow, because normally when I shoot arrows at stuff it will load faster. But anyways, you can even see the other biome and the other lake. It's useful to be on 12 chunks. I would recommend it. Anyways, let's turn it up to 16 chunks. 16 chunks is incredible. like as you can see over there, we can not only see the forest, we can also see the mountains. It will be a bit hard to load, but after you load it up, it will be very useful. We can even see some traces of a swamp over there, another island, the beach, you know, the whole village. We can also see the cave, and more over there we can see some mountains forming up. You know, it's really useful to know what's around you, and so it's easier to travel like this. But you know what's more useful? NordVPN. Okay, I don't have a sponsorship, but I do have 19 chunks, and I can show you what 19 chunks looks like, and it is incredible. You can see pretty much everything around you. You can see across biomes. You can even see a desert in like all the way behind, some mountains, everything. It's really good. But let's go on to the maximum chunks that I have, which is 22. Now with my iPad with 22 chunks, I have a lot of lag, but you can see across, I don't know, like thousands of blocks. Now as you can see, as you do advance, it will be like the chunks won't load, but once you stay in the same place and start actually loading up the chunks, you will be able to see a lot. So yeah, so for FPS, I would say the recommended would be like 30-40 FPS. If you have a better setup, even like 60 FPS, 70 FPS. Now for chunks, I play with the 12 chunks, but I'd say that even 6 chunks, 7 chunks is really good. Now it's time to blow up my iPad with 22 chunks and maximum FPS. But first, if you made it this far into the video, which, you know, probably talking to myself, but if you made it this far, please consider subscribing. It would actually make my day since I'm a small channel and I would actually notice. Thank you. Now let's kill my poor iPad with 22 chunks, maximum FPS while screen recording. Anyways, as you can see, it's actually at first really good until I start to notice the lag. Playing like this, honestly, I think you would need like a NASA computer or something, because it's just too many FPS and too many chunks, you know. As you can see, it can barely load it up. The end of the video now. I hope you liked it. If you did, please like, subscribe, you know, share, and bye.